Perfect. So over here, sharing. Perfect. Okay. Right now we should see a slide that says Wisconsin FFA parliamentary procedure. Is that what we see?
Yep,
Yeah.
I see it.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. So what we're going to go over is a little bit of the history of parliamentary procedure, because I think for me, especially when I was just starting out, that's what made it interesting and made it like worth learning parliamentary procedure. We'll go over some of the basics of the competition, and then I'll share some tips and tricks. And then after that, I'll take however many questions you guys have and give you answers that I can. And then if I can't answer them, I'll follow them up later with an email. So, okay. Envision this. It's after the Civil War, and you decide to take a train ride way out west to some totally mysterious place, and so does about several hundreds of other people. This mysterious place is San Diego. So back when Robert's Rules of Order was written by Henry Martin Robert, that's what he was doing. He took a train out to San Diego or somewhere in California and decided to start joining some of the local community boards. And when he was in these boards, he figured out that they were very unorganized and needed some structure so they could actually be productive in their society. So again, a little bit of context around like what's going on. This guy, Mr. Robert, fights in the Civil War. It ends. In 1969, the Transcontinental Railroad is finished. And then the Reconstruction era and Gilded Age is starting. So the Reconstruction era is all that rebuilding from the damage during the war. And then the Gilded Age is that period where they're like, industry is booming because Civil War over and we can actually focus on starting our businesses because we have the railroad to make everything easier. So it makes sense that people started having to run their own businesses and be on boards together. And it makes sense that Henry Robert decided that they're going to need some structure if they're going to be productive in society this way. Okay. Where there is no law, but every man does what is right in his own eyes, there is the least of real liberty. Can I have one person give me a guess on what they think this might mean? Okay. Well, we'll let it slide. Awkward silence over. I'll explain for all of you. So basically, this is Robert, the guy that wrote Robert's Rules of Order, saying that when there is no law or parliamentary procedure, rules for a meeting, and every man does what is right in his own eyes, there is the least of liberty, because what everybody is doing that they think is right is not the same as the next person. So if you're trying to convince people what is right, and like for some reason you have more of a voice than somebody else and they follow you, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's right or what everybody wants to do. So really what parliamentary procedure is doing is making it so that you can have the rule of the majority and the rights of the minority. Hopefully we've heard of this phrase once before, and it's important to all of society and important for us to learn as FFA members, because when we go out into organizations like the Farm Bureau or Student Senate, or if we become a townsperson one day, understanding the rule of the majority and respecting that decision, but also respecting the rights of the minority to have their perspective be heard is important. Okay, so that's all the background information and why this is important for all of us to learn. Can I have one person volunteer to read the purpose of the Parliamentary Procedure Leadership Development event?
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So the purpose is to learn to participate effectively in a business meeting and to assist in the development of their leadership, research, problem solving, and critical thinking skills.
Thank you. Spot on. Do I have a volunteer to read the description? Let's hear from Ben or Sarah.
I can do it.
Thank you, Ben.
Participants conduct orderly and efficient chapter meetings using parliamentary procedures. Members will also answer questions based on their team's presentation of parliamentary procedure.
Perfect. So in this competition, if you let me know if you all are aware of this already, but you have 6 people on your team, right? And you have your chairperson and then 4 people demonstrating and then somebody sitting in the secretary spot who's also demonstrating. And you have the main motion and then the required abilities, and we have to get an extra ability. Give me a yep, I'm aware, or a thumbs up or something in the chat to let me know that we are all on the same page with this.
I got it.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. So we'll move into the tips and tricks that I have. And then if you have more questions about the competitions or specific motions, just let me know and we can answer them. So number 1 tip, obvious, is to practice and making sure that our practices are staying focused and productive, but also remaining fun and exciting. I have resources on the next several slides that will be posted after this, and we can go through as well that we can look at to help our teams practice and familiarize ourselves with the competition. The next thing is to memorize. There's this green sheet, or is what it used to be called. Now it's like a table of all of the motions, and knowing what the salient points are on those and also the order of precedence helps us know the basics of parliamentary procedure inside and out. And then lastly, my last tip is to make it fun. Competing in parliamentary procedure was one of my favorite things to do in high school because we were just completely silly the entire time at practice, and we're able to debate like silly main motions and then be really and goofy with our debates at the same time learning what all of the motions and abilities we're doing. And it makes it interesting and it makes it memorable. Okay. So before I go through this slide, I want to hear from each of us what our practices as a team look like now. Let's start with Sarah. What does a typical team practice look like for Amory?
We tend to meet twice a week, once before school and then once during our study hall. And then on our Tuesday meetings, which is during school, during our study hall, we go through like the different like motions and like subsidiary motions and the salient points for all of them. And then Thursdays before schools, we just like, we pick a motion and then we all take turns debating it.
Okay.
And using the different like incidental subsidiary motions and all that different stuff.
Okay, perfect. So it sounds like on that first meeting you mentioned, you go through the salient points and work on memorizing those as a team. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, sounds good. Ben, how about you?
I think for us, when we're doing it, we meet also twice a week, except we meet both of ours after school at one of our teammates' house. And the thing about our team is very young, and obviously we don't have a middle school program either. So we have 3 freshmen, and then the other 3 of us, we have 2 seniors and 1 junior on our team. So it makes it for them. It's learning those salient points and learning those motions as well. So I think for us, it's more, we're learning more memorizing stuff. And then eventually every once in a while, we'll pass out a main motion and just get used to giving a debating those topics.
Mhm. Okay, sounds good. Do you guys in Slinger kind of run your own practices, or does your advisor help you out?
We have our advisor is helping currently helping our quiz bowl kids right now. So as our quiz bowl meeting is going on as well, she comes because the person hosts also has a middle schooler in it. We have a different coach who's done Parley Pro before. I have one of the parents actually, so she's the one that's teaching us. And then eventually, every once in a while, they'll switch as well.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Wyatt, what does a Parley Pro practice look like for New London?
So our advisor will hand out cards with the main motion and the 4 abilities. And then we'll run 2 or 3 meetings just like you would in a district, sectional, or state competition. And then sometimes we'll do questions afterwards.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, that all sounds pretty familiar to me too. When I was in high school, it was pretty similar to all of y'all's, honestly. Getting the cards, going through a demonstration, and then memorizing the salient points when we can. I collected some different practice techniques we can use when we just need to switch something up, or we really need to focus in on one area of the parliamentary procedure competition. And that's what all these 5 different things are meant to do. So the first one on here is debate hot potato. So what happens is you stand in a circle and you have a motion on the whiteboard or whatever board where everybody can see it. And then you pass around ball, potato, whatever you have to toss around, and you go through, have a debate, and then you pass the ball to the next person. And if you miss a part of the debate, hesitate, or cannot come up with something that's completely new idea, then you're out of the circle and you go until you have one person left. So this technique or practice strategy makes it so you have to keep coming up with unique debates, because there's no certain number you have to reach. You just go until somebody wins. And in the competition, that's something that we're scored on, is how original our debates are. If we're repeating something that somebody else already said, then our debate isn't as strong as if we come up with a completely new idea or build off of somebody else's. The second one on here is simply just timing our debates. It's easy to be really short or really long with our debates. And when we are concise, but still have points that are strong enough, it should fit into about 20 to 30 seconds per debate. If you want to go through with your team and calculate out what you all feel how long a debate should be, I strongly encourage you to do that, but you have to consider the amount of time we have to go through the whole demonstration, plus the motions, and then fizzle it down to the 20 debates we have to get in. So when you're timing your debates, you could do it during those demonstrations. Wyatt, our coach, used to time us during each debate while we're in demonstration and then go over them. Or you could do it again if you're doing the hot potato thing, just getting used to what this time frame feels like. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay, thank you. The next one is parlay tennis. So if there's a question, just let me know. Just cut me off. With parlay tennis, I think this is good for if we're starting with younger teammates and to demonstrate what it's like to toss the floor back and forth from the chair to the people on the floor. And that's simply just tossing a ball back and forth while you're talking. So that way it's you can't just start talking, you need to be recognized by the chair. The next one is Chairperson Gauntlet. So Wyatt, this might be a good one for your team, for you to strengthen your skills as a chairperson. When I was chairperson, we did this quite often, and my teammates would just try and stack on as many things as possible. So you have an amendment to an amendment with a pending referral, and then they're asking a question of privilege and raising questions of points of information and all types of things. And you just have to be able to go through everything. And if you think about Parlay Pro, when you have the potential of having all these pending motions, if you think about it like the rungs on the ladder, like you have your main motion and then amendment to an amendment, say, then you have to like work back down the ladder. So your teammate's goal is to get up as many rungs on the ladder as possible. And you have to figure out how to get all the way back down to a main motion, a vote on that motion, and being complete with it. The next and last one, it's called Rewind My Turn. And when we're introducing new motions that we might not be familiar with, like call for the previous question or lay on the table, we can go through, and whoever has that motion during the set, if you're going through like a normal competition set, once they reach the point where they demonstrate that motion, you simply just stop and then let each person on your team go through what it's like to demonstrate that motion. So if it was like call for the previous question and you get to the point in your demonstration where the person who has that motion says, I call for previous question, you all vote on it, and then you would go on, except for this one, you stop, go back, the next teammate calls for the previous question, and so on and so forth. So everybody's used to the verbiage that we have to use and what the vote looks like. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, sounds good. So basically, all in all, those are just some practices that we can use in our practices if we need to focus solely on debates or timing our debates or learning motions, etc. Okay, all of our resources, I have some compiled here that we can go to. Let me show you all of these. So the first one is the National FFA Parliamentary Procedure Leadership Development Event page. This has the description, this video on it that tells us about the event, and then all of these links down here that we can go to for more information. Like this one gets us to that same page, and if we were to click on the resources, it brings us to this folder, like the holy grail of parliamentary procedure materials. So you can literally go in, see the past tests that they had to do during national competitions. Trying to find where this is. So I believe what I'm opening right now is the exam that they had. If you make it to state level, we also have an exam, and I'm pretty sure the questions that we use are basically right off of this. There's also a link on here to the Parliamentary Procedure Handbook. That's also on the National FFA website in that FFA box resources. This gives us all kinds of information too on what the event is like and all the rules, guidelines, everything like that. Some example demonstration cards, sample cards on there, etc. Okay. You all will have access to all of these resources and specifically this slideshow afterwards. So if you want to use these links, you can. Lastly on here is the Wisconsin FFA Parliamentary Procedure page. There is sample cards on here too. The chart of permissible motions, so all of the motions we have to learn for competition. There is, on the other side of that, what each of those motions do. All of those ability cards. You can look at the rubric, so what we're literally judged on. This is what our judges are looking at when we're competing. All of contest updates and the resource booklet that has some sample cards here, example questions that we can use, all kinds of things. And then also last year, the Wisconsin FFA state officer team worked on putting together all of these learning to do videos. We'll give this one a quick watch just to, it might be repetitive information for all of us, but it's good to review. And then also we can use this video to show our teammates when we go back to our team for practicing.
I move that you are going to participate in the Parliamentary Procedure Contest.
Second.
It has been properly moved and seconded. Is there any debate?
Whoa, 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 whoa. What is going on here?
It's Parliamentary Procedure! Welcome to our Learning to Do video all about Parliamentary Procedure.
So what is parliamentary procedure?
It's the ability to conduct an orderly and efficient meeting using parliamentary law. And did you know there's even a competition for Parliamentary Procedure?
Oh, that one where they demonstrate their ability to conduct a business meeting?
Yeah, totally. I second that.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
Parliamentary Procedure Contests happen during the second semester of the year. You start with districts and then can move on to sectional, state, and even nationals. You never know when you're going to need parliamentary procedure, so make sure to practice it all year round. That's why it's the Super Bowl of LGEs.
And another thing to note is that it is a team event consisting of 6 members, 7th through 12th grade. There's only one team allowed per school.
Now that we know a little bit more about our Parliamentary Procedure Contest, we are going to get into some tips and tricks. So first, we want to know our salient points. That is, whether it needs a second, is amendable, is debatable, and what vote it requires. Another great resource for you is the Robert's Rules of Order newly revised 12th edition. This book has everything that you need to know about parliamentary procedure, so make sure that you get your copy today.
And one of the most important parts of the competition is the debate section. We like to use the analogy of our debates are like an Oreo.
Yes, first we have our opening, which is that first part of the cookie, where we state whether we are in favor or opposed. In the middle, we have that awesome frosting that includes our 2 points of debate, whether we're opposed or in favor of that motion.
And the other side of the cookie, which is similar to the opening, we're going to state our position again, if we're in favor or opposed.
It's like one big Oreo cookie!
A benefit of participating in the Parliamentary Procedure Contest is that no matter what career you go into, you'll probably have to go to a meeting. And this competition will help you participate effectively and efficiently in this meeting.
Some takeaways include knowing your salient points.
Practice, practice, practice. Some things in life may not come easy, but are so worth having in the end. And this is the same thing that is said for parliamentary procedure. A great life skill to have.
And remember the Oreo cookie for debates.
Is there any debate? Seeing none, we shall proceed to vote. All those in favor of you participating in Parli Pro signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it, and you will participate in Parli Pro.
Okay, so there we go. Probably repetitive information for all of us, but this is a resource out there when we're recruiting new teammates for our parliamentary procedure team. This lays out pretty much everything that we need to explain to those potential teammates. So those are all the links there that go to many, many more resources that we can use in our practices and with our teammates. There's also on the slideshow link to that Learning to Do video we just watched, the entire 2019 National FFA finals. So that's all of the like pro national level demonstrators, and then UW River Falls mock demonstration too. So these are perfect things to model and strive for when we are working to perfect our demonstration. Also, last year, this is probably perfect for all of us to look at because we're on different levels. So last year they did a beginner workshop, an intermediate workshop, an experienced workshop with the National FFA Parliamentary Procedure Chairperson. So if we feel like we're more on a beginner level, I strongly encourage you to go through this video and like either watch the whole thing, maybe you speed it up, whatever you need to, but review the information on the beginner workshop, intermediate workshop, and experience workshop that we need for our level. Okay, before I begin, any further questions? So they also mentioned in that learning to do video, the importance of memorizing the order of precedence and the salient points. In my opinion, this is important for it to happen at home when we're practicing on our own. This having this memorized for our teammates when we're there and ready to practice means we can spend more time working on debates and abilities and working on our team's ability to demonstrate if we already know these on our own time. And then lastly, the best tip and trick of all is to make it fun. I mentioned before that competing in parliamentary procedure was hands down my favorite thing to do in high school because it was hilarious. Every time we were debating crazy motions like buying an ostrich egg or making golden statues of our advisors, sending the Parley Pro team to Antarctica, just completely insane things. And those completely insane things allow for completely silly debates that are hilarious, but we are good for when we're practicing. Okay. Any questions about anything about the event, any specific motions, any questions you wanted answered in your time here? Now is our time to ask.
So something that I've been confused on is when exactly you should object. When objecting to a motion, should you do that before the chair restates it, or should you do that after the chair restates the objection?
Okay, so I will reach out to Carissa to confirm with you. My understanding is the person moves the motion, it is seconded, and then the chair restates. It has been properly moved and seconded to buy an ostrich egg. Is there any debate? That's when you would jump in and say, I object to the consideration of the question. So before debate takes place.
So object after the chair restates it before debate.
Right. Yes. And once again, that's
last year. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to quickly explain that objecting consideration you can interrupt the speaker on. So you just like jump up and cut off anybody before they are starting debate. Go ahead.
All right. And then last year, so at the state finals, we had object, and they did say that you could only object to a main motion, but we did not think that was true. And some other people we asked didn't know that, like, if that was true or not. So like, is that a thing? You can only object to a main motion, or would you be able to object to like an amendment?
Wyatt, I will get back to you on that. I do remember that all going down last year. I competed to the best I can do for you right now is I will reach out to Carissa, the parliamentary procedure chair, and have her send you a response, or you will get a response from me.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay. Well, Wyatt, I will follow up on that objection for you. The rest of you, if you have any questions throughout the year, please let me know. Before we leave, I would appreciate it if we could put our emails in the chat. So that way I have them and can send this slideshow directly to you. And then once we're done with that, if we have the ability to, I would love to take a picture before we leave. So if we are able to turn on our cameras without losing our connection, that would be perfect. So we can take this picture and then we'll be all set to go. Okay. Okay, ready guys? Okay, big smiles. Okay, thank you. I know taking those silly pictures are just always a little awkward, but that's okay. Last call for questions. Okay. Ben, Sarah, Wyatt, good luck with Parley Pro throughout the year. If we come up with questions, I will make sure you all get an answer. And yeah. Okay. You all have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Thank you. Have a good night.
Thank you.
Have a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. if
Thank
we're
you.
celebrating. You're welcome.
Oh, I have a question.
Yeah, go for it.
I know all of these training workshops are being recorded. Are they going to be like published somewhere? Because I wanted
Yes.
to watch the middle school quiz bowl one, but I couldn't find it.
Okay, so yes, they are all recorded, and they are currently on a document where all of the links were. So depending on if I will send this one to you, Sarah, and I can also send you the quiz bowl one. But when we're helping our fellow members find them, they're on a document that our advisors should have gotten. If they have not, I will make sure Katie sends it out. It's the same document that we had all the links on. It's just once we're completed with the training, we replace the link to the meeting with the recording from the meeting. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, I will make sure that I send that to you. Okay,
Okay. Thank you.
perfect. All right. Anything else?
Bye.
Okay. Yeah, sounds good. Have a happy holiday. See you guys later.
Yeah, no, thank you again.
Yeah,
If
you
you could,
bet.
I don't know, those same videos, could you send those to us as well? Because we happen to have one of our meetings, our committee meeting on the same day. We had a video for, I think it was Quiz Bowl as well, and my advisor was seeing if you had those posted as well.
Okay, yes, sounds good. Right now, I'm just taking a picture of the chat with the emails in case I can't find them later. But yes, I will send that to you. Okay.
All right, thank you. Have a good
Yeah.
night.
Yep, you too. Have a good night. Bye-bye.